Hello and welcome to Open Door. My special guest today is Mr. Stephen E. Boyd, and I am introducing him to Cleveland as Kwa Okunyon. Welcome to the show today, my brother.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Good to have you. What are you doing these days? Because you do so many things. I know that you are one of the members of a legendary group here in Cleveland called Hue People. I also know that at once upon a time you worked at WJMO Radio, and then you migrated to another radio station, and you were in radio sales. You've done quite a bit between then and now, and I don't need you to tell me everything, but you can kind of give me a snapshot of the life of Stephen E. Boyd.
Well, let me say this, Vince. I in addition to my just real love for the arts, and vocal music being the primary vehicle for me, has been for these 60 years. I went to college on a music scholarship, vocal music scholarship. Technology and business are very critical. They're very, very important for us as peoples of melanated hue to really indulge in a bigger way. Personal economic development, family economic development, and then community economic development. And at the same time, as importantly as economic development is to us individually and as a collective of people, it has to be combined with a love for culture. It's not about going and joining together for the sake of dollars. It's about, at the same time now, embracing our culture in a way that we've never done before. I would say almost those two ends are the most important things we could be doing. Our culture will guide our spirituality and will help us, because spirituality is the next goal in addition to health. Then we can really capitalize on the economic development that we seek. Culture is the cure. Culture is the key. So, but we whether we are acculturated or even as healed as we need to be, we have got to start spending money with each other. We've got to spend dollars with each other. We've got to build personal wealth that we can pass on to our children. So I'm hoping that you asked me what have I been about or am I being about now? But we have to be educated to that. So education, whether it's in summer school sort of fashions, in traditional rites of passage, whatever, getting the education that we need that will help us to then work together and create toward development. I want to be involved in projects that help us get to that kind of end. That's what I'm doing these days.
Okay. I know from conversations that we've had in the past that you have been very connected to culture. An example of that is appearances with the group Hue People, and most of the time that I've seen you, I've seen some type of cultural affectation about the way you all present yourselves and the way you present yourself specifically. I noticed that you routinely have some type of cultural garment on or some kind of representation. What did your connection with culture arise or emanate from?
Basically, being a child of the 50s and 60s, I just feel that our particular generation was allowed to participate and be involved in a new Black renaissance. That's what the 60s was. The 60s was a Black cultural, political renaissance for us as a people. And I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old during the height of that movement, as a lot of people of my generation all were. So it affected me in that I've been searching for what is that high Black life that if we live it, it'll help us be stronger and help us navigate our way through just the systems of life much better. I've always felt that by operating from that perspective. There's some people that have had such an anguish about life as Black people. We've seen plays about it where there's some people that wish they were white. There are people that change their color. They do things to just change and get away from the blackness. So, um, my job and my purpose here on this planet is to help us navigate through those kinds of ideas, to be a part of it. I can't solve it. I can't change it, but the companies and the kind of work I do artistically, I hope speak to the efficacy of that kind of movement in our lives.
Okay. When I introduced you partially as Kwa Okunyin. Give us the background behind that name and how it came to you.
Yeah, it came through the process of rites of passage. I believe in that. I appreciate the efforts of people like Paul Hill and Acquired David Whitaker. I tell people the day that Acquired David Whitaker became Acquired David Whitaker, I became Acquired Steve. So um, you know each of the days of the week have some significance, and I like for people to do a bit of research rather than just tell them certain things about this kind of knowledge, because I think it's sacred and special. And when you hear the names Kwame and Kwabena and Kwa and Kofi, we should have some awareness of what those names may mean. Um, I will speak to Okunyin because that's a name I was given in ceremony in Ghana decades ago, and it refers to notions of magnetic fighting, being a magnetic fighter, uh, um, the leading fighter. Let's leave it at that. Has a relevance to that. So I would think that the warrior has always been an archetype within the African cosmology. We probably were the originators, but there was a refinement to warriorism, and so we move forward to achieve and win every day. That's what we want to do. So I'm hoping I'm a part of the solution for our people. I don't want to be a part of the problem.
Okay. Well, that's something that we have in common. I went through a naming ceremony myself. It was probably similar to the one that you went through, and the name that was given to me was Baba Yao Ansa.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know,
what is the meaning?
Yao is a name that is given to males that are born on a Thursday.
Yes.
And Ansa is a name that was given to me with respect to two Ansas. One is a Ghanaian filmmaker, and the other one was one of the governors of the area of Elmina. And Elmina is near where the village of Atonkwa is, which is what my home village is. So it's a beautiful thing to have that. And
it is, brother. There's a relationship between Kwao and Yao. They are of the same, and so the meanings and the attributes that go along with that. Um, we have a responsibility to just live up. And that, as I told someone not long ago, if we can do no more than give our children names that have meanings, because they can begin there in the search to find themselves and know themselves with a quality that will give them much more power. That's what this is about these days. And so that's the difference between the African and the African American. You can't walk around and call yourself Pookie and little Mo and little bit and really think that you're going to be able to tap into the universal power of existence with that. Um, I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but this is an important part of our socializing that I'd like to see us move toward here in America with our children. We've got to figure out ways to do that in ways that are authentic to us and natural to us.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
And speaking of authenticity, I think it's relevant to mention the thought that goes into naming children as a part of our culture. Sometimes it's a matter of making contact with that child before they actually come into the world. Sometimes it's a matter of studying that child to observe certain characteristics that can be related to someone who was here before. So it's not just an arbitrary thing, but I find it ironic in my travels in Africa, when you ask some Ghanaians their name, they'll give you a European name first. And I think it's
That's right.
Partly because they might think that you're not capable of pronouncing or remembering their name, or perhaps they've just adopted that European name and that's what they wear with pride. I don't know. But our brother Okanta, as we were traveling and we would be introduced to people and they would say their names, he would say, "No, I want your real name."
Right. Right. I do that all the time. I do that. I mean, that's just what I want to know.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're not off in their calculation, because 90% of the African Americans that they're going to meet are not going to know how to pronounce their names. They are not going to try to pronounce their names. Don't want to know the understanding. And that's not because we're mean or ignorant people. It means we've not been directed toward socialization that helps us appreciate that as much as we should. That's all that's happened. And we can go back and fetch that. See, Sankofa, we can go back and get that. And we have to do that because they mess with our DNA with this oppression here in America. It has had profoundly damaging effects to us. So we've got to reverse it and heal it.
Yes.
So yes, this is the antidote. This is part of it. There is no thee. There are multiple things we have to do. And grabbing back our Africa, wherever we can find it, we must do that if we want to heal.
Okay.
We want to heal.
I want to talk to you about the fact that you have taken youngsters, you have taken young men and young women to Africa, and they've experienced quite a few things and connected themselves with our culture. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. You're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest is Stephen E. Boyd. To you, he is also known as Kwa Okunyin. We'll be right back, right here on 95.9 FM WOVU, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Crazy T, what are you doing?
What you mean?
Why are you about to throw that out the window?
I'm saying I'm done with it. I didn't want to junk your car up. I was looking out for you.
No, I'm sure we'll make a stop. You could throw it out of a trash can or something. Fuck, wait, I got a little bag I usually keep, right here.
I'm saying, is it that big a deal? The window's right here.
Of course. This is our community. We live here. This is our community.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Why would you want to junk up our own community?
Yeah, I didn't know you was going to get all, whatever, civil rights on it or whatever. You're right. My bad. I didn't know.
You should be in the uproar yourself, too, when you see people do it.
You know what? I'm going to do better, because, this is my community. I got to live here. You're right.
We all need to do better. Don't litter.
Littering is a serious offense, punishable by fines up to $500 and or 60 days in jail.
Don't litter. This is your community. Brought to you by WOVU 95.9 BBC Community Radio. Our voices united.
We're back. Stephen E. Boyd, Kwa Okunyin on Open Door. Before we took the break, I alluded to the fact that you have actually taken groups of children to Africa. Tell me what that experience was like for you, to have them experience Africa and you experience, but what did they take away from it?
Well, brother, it's such an understated situation. And sometimes I feel badly about that because, in spite of people thinking, oh, that guy, he might want to be famous by talking about that a whole lot. It is really one of the most profound experiences I've ever had, taking our children 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old to Ghana, to the motherland, to touch the soil, to be there and smell the air of the motherland where their great grandparents came from. I'm honored to have been able to experience taking that and having that experience on a couple of occasions. One occasion, the occasion that will always be the most profound was with the first group of, I think we had 30 Watoto, that's Swahili for children, on that particular trip, and there were probably 20 chaperones. It just so happened that my son was there as a student. My wife was there as a chaperone, and she was the director of the summer school program at that time. And I was a geography teacher and music teacher and chaperone for the program. So we happened to get to go to Africa for the first time as a family. And nothing has ever been more profound than that for me. It's difficult still to put into words. That's why I know it's so correct. It's so right. It's so much of the healing there that we get when we reconnect ourselves with those roots. So I think it's one of the most profound gifts that we can give our children so that they can look back in their lives and see, at this age, I've been to Africa. I've seen the University of Ghana. I've been to the waterfalls in the Volta region, the spiritual waterfalls. I've seen the enslavement dungeons in Elmina and Cape Coast. I'm beginning to think about what all that means as I reach ages of 12 and 13 and 14. That's what these young people get to have as an experience. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just curious if you have spoken to any of them since then, and have you heard any of reflections, just as you just gave, have you heard any reflections from them on the benefit of the experience to them?
I do. I have really spoken with, as I look at it now, quite a few of them I've seen over the years, and they're all, I only know of one of our children that had some problem, but there's no need to go through anything because he overcame that and came back. So our children they're in high places. There's no need to front on any of them at the right time. What needs to be said will be said. They are leaders. They are leaders out here in their fields, whether it's in education or whether it's in law, whether it's in science. These people are leaders, and they're finding the way. And I'm certain that they always let us know how powerful. They're angry because the Malietu program doesn't still exist, so that they can send their children through it. And that's what we want to deal with. It was a profound program, the Malietu summer school program that I participated in, that when we share it and let you know what we did and how we did it, help you to see exactly what we did, then maybe others can then replicate that. Give the founders of the Malietu programs the propers as though that they deserve. They really do. It's not about being ahead of our times. It's just in 1980 and in 1990, we saw what time it was. Okay. And we know these things work. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you were able to see a direct benefit from their journey to the motherland, but also a direct benefit from rites of passage. Could you talk a little bit about the significance of rites of passage and why it's something that should be proliferated to a much greater degree in our community?
Well, the reason we know it's the exact thing that needs to be going on right now is because we were already doing it in the Cleveland Public Schools. Paul Hill and David Whitaker don't speak about this too often, but I'm going to speak about it because I was right there. We were all there together. And we know that we were beginning to get this information to thousands of our Cleveland Public School children. Thousands. And all of a sudden, all these programs went away. There was no funding. There was no nothing. They just cut it all out. You had the power to give and then the power to take it all away. They knew this would help us heal to be powerful. So they're not interested in seeing us be powerful. They may be not interested in seeing us just fade away completely overnight. But I don't see anything that's in place out here from our schools, from so many different areas of life that should be there to give us sustenance, them doing what needs to be done to give our people sustenance. So that's why we're going to move forward with talking even more about the things we've done and what we know that works, so that hopefully we can begin more discussions about things that matter. These are the things that matter. Whether somebody's going to get a damn Oscar or a Grammy Award, or they wear Gucci, or they wear this, that, and the other, that doesn't really matter. I'm not saying don't indulge where you have to, but we need to be building toward what are the substantive things that we can give to our children that helps restore their birthright, that will help them to be able to help to survive America and thrive in America and thrive in the world. That's what we've got to get busy programmatically doing. We've got to start doing it now, not just talking about it. Through our schools, through our churches, we know rites of passage is what we need to be doing. We have to do it. And you need to listen to the people that have studied and know what to do about it. Don't just come invent something because you heard of something. Respect our professionals. Respect our doctors. Respect our lawyers. Respect our plumbers. We the kind of people, though, we don't know nothing about electricity, but we'll tell the electrician how to fix our house. Because we just think we got an opinion. And we mad because the electrician knows more about how to fix the electricity than we do.
Okay.
I know we'll get over it. I'm not talking about us and trying to denigrate us. I'm trying to describe how we've been injured so we can stop it and move on to what we need to be moving on to.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about being injured, obviously, if someone is injured, there is a need for healing. And one of those vehicles for healing is music. Culture is one of those things that basically facilitate healing. You've been part of a musical tradition for a long time. I know you personally, and I know that you have roots in Kansas City, Kansas. And there are some very prominent jazz musicians that the whole world knows. Let's talk about your involvement in music. What was the genesis of your involvement in music?
The North End. I lived in the North End of Kansas City, Kansas. People have heard the term Kansas City. So there's Kansas City, Kansas, and then there's Kansas City, Missouri. It's very similar to East Cleveland and Cleveland in the sense of, one's being right next to the other. Kansas City's a very small little town. But the thing about it is there's just a number of artists and musicians that have come from that little area right there. Charlie Parker was born 3 blocks from where I grew up. And as a baby, they then moved him from there over to Kansas City, Missouri, but it's still the same thing. There's just so much music going between Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. So, people like Miles Davis and Lester Young were in St. Louis coming up to catch that Kansas City vibe. But, people like Kevin Mahoney, Lita Adams, Norman Brown, what's the young lady that
Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe. She's a friend of the family on one level. She knew my little brother. She didn't really know me. And I can go on to name so many more. Bobby Watson, Pam Watson. So there's so many singers, and there's world class musicianship that has come out of 2 particular musical institutions in that area, high schools, and it's just been that way. So don't want to get into a long thing there, but that's why it's important. We all have the same kind of dynamic going on in all cities where there are major black populations. Wherever black people are anyway, they just congregate anyway. They congregate. And, where we have large black populations, there are artistic traditions that go on there and development systems that, are just unique to black neighborhoods. So Kansas City, Kansas was a unique neighborhood from a lot of perspectives. Just a lot of musicians came through here. So.
Well, there's another musician that you absolutely must mention, and that is your brother.
Yeah. My little brother passed away this year, And yes, he was a very well-known musician in the area in Kansas City. He and I both sort of we had an interest in a broad perspective of genres of music when we were young. We tried to break down barriers to some extent. We were part of an organization called the International. We called it the Interdenominational Angelic Youth Choir of Kansas City when we were very, very young. And that was an attempt to get all the different Baptists and Methodists and Church of God in Christ and Catholic, everybody getting together singing in one group. My little brother was a phenom keyboardist. He started at age 6 or 7 and was known in gospel circles, classical musical circles, jazz circles, all of that. I wasn't known that widely like that. I didn't really deal with singing too much till my 10th and 11th grade year in high school. So, but there's a great musical tradition there, and I think and Cleveland Northeast Ohio has a very profound musical tradition of various genres going on here. There's so many musicians that come out of here, so there's a similarity that way in some senses,
Okay, well, I would like to mention his name, Reginald Watkins.
Yes.
And say, may he rest in peace.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about the birth of Hue People. I know some people call them the Hue People, and I can remember you correcting, so I'm not going to call them the Hue People. I will call them Hue People, and I think they've evolved to Hue People Ensemble, correct?
Well, it's Hue People Vocal Ensemble.
Okay, Hue People Vocal Ensemble. We'll discuss the birth of Hue People Vocal Ensemble when we return to Open Door.
When you're in my car, we're listening to WOVU 95.9 FM.
What can you do in the battle against COVID-19? Your first task, wear a mask, protect yourself and others. Armor up, armor up. Give those hands a 20-second shower with soap and water. Armor up, armor up. Give others space 6 feet just in case. Armor up, armor up. Get good nutrition, ingest for digestion. Armor up, armor up. Vitamin C, D3, and more. Armor up, armor up. Elderberries, zinc, and echinacea from the store. Armor up, armor up. Get some fresh air. Go climb some stairs. Armor up, armor up. Let go of stress. Make sure you rest. Armor up, armor up. Your breath is the key to life. Strengthen your immune system, follow the guidelines, and win the battle against COVID-19. Armor up, armor up.
Welcome back. We're talking with Stephen E. Boyd, Kwa Okunyan, right here on Open Door with Vince Robinson. And before we took the break, we mentioned that we wanted to talk about the birth of this group, Hue People. How did it start?
Very simple. Myself and brother Afi, Nur, and Kruma sang together as a duo for a few years. He worked with me also in the summer school program Malietu. He was always my substitute music teacher. If I couldn't be there, I'd call Baba Afi Nur and say, "Come on, man, you got to sit in on this class with me," and he'd handle that. And we used to perform together, the two of us. In 2003, we were handling the musical direction for the 2003 Success Source Power Networking Conference here in Cleveland, Ohio. And we had the bigwigs here. We had a lot of names. Susan Taylor, what's the minister's name? The big guy. That's the minister. T.D. Jakes, Tavis Smiley. All of them were here. So for the last day of the conference, we wanted to create a musical experience. It was on a Sunday. It was inspire people. So we decided that instead of it just being something that Afi Nur and I did, we'd bring in a bunch of voices and we'd bring in African dance. So we introduced a piece that we did that had a number of singers. I think three or four men and and 4 or 5 women, and we had African dance, and it was very powerful. And then from there, we decided, let's go ahead and put a musical group together. I think a quartet would be good. That was my idea. And we went forward with theirs. So in that original group of people, Seco Salinas was with us when we first sang. And then we got Anita Rose Banks, probably within a week, probably within 2 or 3 weeks of us deciding to be a group. And the 4 of us got together one afternoon and decided to see if we could sing a little harmony, and it just so happened that we did. It came across very easily for us, that one particular song. So we've been at it ever since, and our first public performance was at Kwanzaa in 2000 and the winter of 2003. Our very first public performance would have been at a concert for Gil Scott-Heron that I was promoting here in Cleveland, but that didn't happen. So that concert was in November. So the following December of 2003, we did our first public performances in East Cleveland at Kwanzaa, and we've been at it ever since.
And as you were doing these performances, I would say that they were I'm at a loss for words, but I'll just say that you didn't use music. It was just your voices. So you were, what's the word? Acapella? Okay.
We decided that we wanted to, we had all been, the beautiful thing was Anita Rose Banks, soprano alto, Seco Salinas, second soprano alto, myself, tenor and baritone, and Afi Noor, second tenor, baritone, and bass. We were all lead singers. So we all had sung leads in other groups and bands over the years. We'd always dealt with musicians. I had some fantastic bands over the years. But this concept, we decided to do a cappella. That was a decision that we made. And we wanted to mostly do a cappella. We wound up using tracks from time to time, certain songs that was appropriate, but they were very lightweight tracks, and that you didn't really get the big booming bass and the big track sound. You really heard mostly voices, mostly vocals, and you would our distinctive trademark harmony. So, the point was, African people have been involved in many genres of music, and we did that without the use of instruments. Pretty much anybody can sound pretty good if you got a band playing with you. But if you just sing in a cappella, that's a whole nother matter right there. And you really got to approach that with a different kind of craft. So it's been about 3 things, basically. Doing it a cappella, making a cultural argument for who we have been musically over the years, and making the statement about what we think is classic.
Yes.
That's what Hue People's all about.
And just to add to that, I spoke about it earlier, but there's a cultural element, and there's also the fact that your music is so conscious. It's about having a message and not just singing music to be heard. Absolutely.
It's very key what we are telling ourselves with our music. Frances Cress Welsing said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing her, but she said, you can't call yourself a bitch and a hoe and a dog and a pimp and expect to get to greatness. That's not going to happen. So we have our music culturally with African people wasn't used necessarily to entertain as much as it was to heal. With Native American groups, music has been used to help control the weather or to help involve itself actually in the therapeutic healing of people. Music does do that, whether we're aware of it or not. So we certainly need to be in charge of making sure the energies musically that we're allowing ourselves and our children to hear are of a healing, positive, motivating nature to get us past the injury that we've had as a result of the Ma'afa.
Okay. Could you talk about how you have evolved as a group? Because now I know you're incorporating musicians into some of your performances, and now you are a group of 3 as opposed to a group of 4. So talk about how the group has evolved since 2003.
It has really grown. We've had to learn how to take, I won't even say lemons and turn them into lemonade. Afi Noor is not singing with us right now. At some point, if there's always a spot that's going to be there for Afi Noor, see. So the group's a trio now. We're just dealing with 2 classical musical forms, the quartet and now the trio. So both of them are legitimate and the simplest of musical, well, the duo, the duet, you got that. But the trios where you're really dealing with chord structure, and the quartets, another advanced approach to chordal harmony. So quartets and trios are powerful and always have been powerful vocal delivery systems. So we're enjoying being a trio. And we've decided also to use live musicians now from time to time. We have found some that we work well with, and there's just lots of things going on that front. We've always had musicians involved. It's just that the musical instrument part of music production for us, I won't say was minimized, but what we wanted to do was put emphasis on the vocals, so people would focus on that as opposed to the instrumentalists. But we're going to work with we've had wonderful relationships with many of the musicians in town, and we've all been talking. There's been some talk going on. So look for things to evolve and happen as we move forward here. We're always going to stick, though, with our a cappella route, because that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. I think we're more proficient at it now than we were when we started in 2003.
I believe the date was November 4th, 2019, and it was a very magical day in my life because on that day at Larchmere Arts, there were 2 performances by Hue People Vocal Ensemble. And the first one was a culturally oriented performance, and the second performance was a completely different performance in terms of the configuration of the music, but the vocals stood out in both of those performances. I think you had Ismail Douglas playing a traditional African instrument. I think there were 2 musicians on stage.
Yes, Baba Jubal.
Baba Jubal, right. And then the second group, you had Miss Mangum,
yes,
and Serena, and then you had the Cole brother on bass.
Yeah, Hosea. Oh my God, Hosea's gonna kill me for not saying his name. Oh Lord, Emma. Oh my God,
I know who you're talking about.
And Ashton, these youngsters, but they're so powerful.
Yeah, they were. But you know what I remember?
Especially Hosea up as the bass player. He's got musical plays going on and stuff that he's been doing. So I expect gigantic greatness. I don't want to talk about it. There have been some things. COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people. And that's Hosea Harris, also, by the way, Jr. Hosea Harris Jr. Okay. So, and Ashton Thomas on drums. But the COVID changed a lot of people's plans. I think Mike Tyson said it best, the way we can all look at this year, because I've really dealt with adversities as so many have these last 2 years, in the 1920 to now. Mike Tyson said, everybody's got plans and goals up until they get hit in the mouth.
Okay, well,
when you get hit in the mouth, that can change everything.
Yes.
So.
Well, I can't let this get away, Brother Steve. The thing that stood out to me the most about that performance, it was the vocals, but it was also the choreography. I happen to have recorded that performance, and I've had a chance to look back on it. And when you all sang Can't Help It, when you did those 2 Stevie Wonder tunes, I was just actually blown away by the way you all move together. Siko is not only a singer, she's a dancer. I believe Anita, yeah, she dances too. But it was
when we do that Michael Jackson duo, it's a Michael Jackson duo of tunes, Can't Help It, and
Butterflies.
Butterflies.
Yeah.
So it's one where we really want to honor. I think we're going to always have some Michael in there because we did know Joe. We knew Joe Jackson. I have to admit too, he was one of the motivations for Hue People as well, because he said something real stupid to me some years ago, and so I had to make him eat them words, and Hue People made him do that, and it was wonderful to watch that happen. That's all I'm going to say about any of that.
Okay. So what do you have looking down the road for Hue People? I know you mentioned COVID has had an impact on your ability to perform, but what do you have in the mix for Hue?
Well, I'll announce a couple things to you right here, Vince. Our long-awaited re-release of our first CD is going to happen with some additional songs, and we're going to release one of the recordings that we made back in that day that we didn't release at that time of our songs. They'll be remixed and remastered. There's one particular song that we're doing again, and it has so much relevance. And then we're going to introduce some original Hue People music. And I don't want to. I don't know. There may be some other things that happen too. Beyond that, but each of us are all working on solo projects too. So I'll be releasing a solo album soon, and I know I'm gonna do everything I can to convince Vince Robinson to work with me on a song for my CD when that comes up.
Bruh, you're not gonna have to twist my arm.
Because Vince Robinson does not play. And Vince Robinson don't play. And so we need something. We've got to come with it. And I just love it. I love the art that we're all doing. I love the work. It's not just of us. There's so many talented, beautiful people in Northeast Ohio. That's just a statement. This is a leadership city. So we have to lead. We've got to heal ourselves to lead. No one said we had to be perfect to lead. There are no perfect leaders. But there are things historically which occurred here in Cleveland. You can't run away from that because you don't feel good today. Because somebody set a lake on fire, shit, so you're going to forget who you are because they set the lake on fire. Okay. So what? You got to move on, man.
Well, speaking of running away, we got to run to a break, but we will be right back with Steve Boyd right here on Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU.
This program is brought to you by Empower Clee, bridging the digital divide, providing reliable internet access to the greater Cleveland community.
Hey girl, what you doing?
Just trying to figure out what's going to happen with these kids in school.
What do you mean?
I don't got no internet at home for them or for work. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Girl, go to Empower Clee.
And what is that?
Empower Clee. They're right here in Cleveland. They offer high-speed internet.
Girl, are you serious? Because I need it right now.
Yes, and it gets better. My cousin just called them. She doesn't even have to pay a dime.
How can I reach them?
You can visit their website at www.empowercle.org or give them a call at 216-777-3859.
What's the number again?
216-777-3859.
Thanks, I'm going to call them right now.
Remember, call 216-777-3859. That's 216-777-3859. And ask about free internet service for your high school student. On behalf of WOVU 95.9 FM, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station, we extend a special thanks to Empower Clee for their support.
Open Door Cleveland looks at the lives of people here and abroad, navigating the realms of art, culture, and society. I'm Vince Robinson. Tune in for inspired conversation with an array of guests and subject matter experts right here on 95.9 FM WOVU, Monday mornings at 11. Stream us live at WOVU.org or enjoy us live by purchasing the WOVU app from your favorite app store. Open Door Cleveland, Monday mornings at 11 on 95.9 FM WOVU, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
We're streaming live on WOVU.org.
We're back. Stephen E. Boyd, also known as Kwa Okunyon, right here on Open Door. Before we took the break, we were talking about the group Hue People. Now I want to take another turn because there is so much to the life of Steve Boyd. We could not fit it into 1 hour. But I do know that you have a background in computers. I think it was IBM or one of those kinds of companies that you worked for back in the day. I think you've also done some other things in the business realm. And I know that you have involvement in other businesses, and you have a son that's extremely involved in other kinds of businesses. So I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the other side to Stephen, aside from the African warrior and the musician. What would you like us to know about your past with respect to business?
Well, I hope that past is a part of my now and my future, because I'm always going to be, of the opinion that one of the things we as black folks have to do is spend money with each other. We just got to do that. Whether we agree about rites of passage or how we educate our children or nothing else, we have got to at least start spending money with each other right now. We've got to do that. In other words, we're going to need to spend our money with certain things, and we need to boycott other things. We need to do both with a certain vigor, because if we're going to heal ourselves and take care of ourselves, we have to do that ourselves. Maybe through other people and with other people, things will happen. That'd be wonderful. I've been hearing about that forever and ever and ever, but it never happens. Never happens. Never. But we must build for ourselves something owned and controlled by us and us alone. They have things, all of them people that want to work with you, they got things that they're doing with their race, and you're not going to get in it because that's for them and their race. As much as they love you and will work with you and help you do something, so you need to be doing something for yourself. Start with your family. We've got to have strong black families. Try to keep that as simple as you can make it. This is critical. Mm-hmm. Critical. Absolutely critical. Yes.
When you talk about your family, you're married to Mrs. Jackie Boyd, and your son is Jamal Boyd. They're both doing big things. I see that your wife has been involved in publishing a book regarding quilting that just came out. Could you talk about that and what you know about it?
Well, Cleveland, once again, what an acculturated town. The African American Dowel and Quilt organization has published 2 books now that have really helped to be there's a real power that's coming behind the idea of quilting now. When we look at quilts and the way we think about quilts, they are powerful artistic statements. So this is one of the leading black quilting organizations here in Cleveland. And of course, you have the Black Storytellers here as well. That's a strong chapter. There's a national Black Storytellers organization as well, with chapters all over America. And it just so happens that the current president of the National Black Storytellers Guild is right here in Cleveland, Miss Kwanzaa Brewer. So there's power here. So Jackie's just been published along with others. She would not want to be thought of as being the only one published here. There were a number of people that were able to be published here in these books. And so, Jackie and I will say this. I know Paul Hill for the East End Neighborhood House years ago published a rites of passage, a guide to Kwanzaa handbook. I think he gave his away. And then when Jackie and I, back in the early 80s, were president of the Cleveland Black Child Development Institute, we published a Kwanzaa book. So we are going to re-release those books. The book Jackie and I did, we're refurbishing it or adding some more to it, a little substance, and make it something that hopefully every Clevelander would want to have, and let it help guide your family and your organizational Kwanzaas that you need to have or can have. You don't need to. You know, the main Kwanzaa is in your heart. With your family, that's most important. Where y'all can sit there and deal with grandma and grandpa and great grandma and great grandpa. Then you're moving into something there with that. Okay.
Jamal.
Yeah, Jamal Boyd. Jamal Boyd is a barber extraordinaire. He's been at the barbering business now for 20 going on 25 years. And he's also a deeply devoted hip-hop artist. He's the hip-hop extraordinaire, aficionado. He likes to tell me and Mwatabu Okanta that he was also an original member of the Guerrilla Dread Liberation Posse because he used to play tambourine. So back in the day, so we had 5-year-olds stomping around on stage playing the tambourine. But he's been a musician and is a musician, an artist, a visual artist, and just a number of things that we want to see our young people be to help us develop and get what we need to get for ourselves. We just have to develop and maintain what we currently have. And that's what we're here as a family to try to do. I hope the art and education of my wife and I, and my son and I, you know, it's just reflections of God. It's just God. To God be the glory. To the ancestors be the honor, you know. And there's so many more talented people here in this city. We want to bring light to that. We really do. It's not about us. It's about what's here in Northeast Ohio and other places.
When we started the show, you made a few remarks about the importance of Black folks doing business with Black folks. I want you to elaborate more on what that means to the city and ways that we can engage people in developing and starting businesses, especially in a time when we've seen so many businesses close down and we understand that small businesses really are the economic engines for cities, especially cities like Cleveland.
Right. I'm not here to talk about what hasn't been done. That's for sure. I'm here to talk about what we have got to do now, regardless of what's been done. Now, Booker T. Washington encouraged us in the late 1800s, early 1900s, to establish Black chambers of commerce. We have to nurture businesses that we will spend our money with. Those businesses can then hire our own. We have to do that. We don't get to there's no break on that. There's no get around on that. We have to do that. So I've been a part of that movement to help us have chambers of commerce in America. And I hope that what we need will come into fruition soon. Mm-hmm. Because that's all that really matters. Are we getting what we need? It's like this $2,000. Trump don't get to wake up some morning and say, "Hey, I'd like to see $2,000." They need to live up to it. I don't give a damn if Biden or Trump pay it. Get $2,000 to people right now. People need $2,000 right now, and we as a people, we need to start looking at how we're spending our dollars and figure out how can we spend more of our dollars with each other. And then be aware of the times. The dollar is in trouble. There are new forms of currency coming along. Times are changing. We don't need to be behind the curve. So from a tech standpoint and so from another kind of trend standpoint, we've been somewhat slow, and that has its consequences. But we can turn that into lemonade as well. We can turn that lemon into lemonade. So I hope my company can come up with ideas that will help us with that, whether it's with expos, when we can start getting together again, and other kinds of presentations that let us talk again about serious things.
Yeah, I was just curious, we still are in this kind of a lockdown mode, even though I think they've already started doing vaccinations. As a matter of fact, I think they might be vaccinating Cleveland police officers right now.
Wow.
But
I tell you, I'm leery of this vaccine, brother, I can't help it because, this is something that has not been tested with time. They can yak all day about what they did, how they this, that, and other. Some things you don't discover in scientific process without time.
Yes.
And you can't rush certain things. For this to have any validity, it just doesn't have it. It just doesn't logical. It's not logical when they tell me this is great. It's tested. It's not tested. They're testing it on those that take it. I've heard there've been some adverse effects to some people with this. So we have to be careful. It's our metabolism and our immune system that help protect us out here from things. I hear not enough talk about how to deal with our immune system. That's what I so appreciate about the 360 Info Radio Network radio show, which you and I are involved in. You more than me.
Yeah.
We're talking about those matters,
mm-hmm.
which are critical.
Yeah.
To us. We have to analyze better. We have to be better decision makers than we've been. You can't be afraid to think.
Yes. Well, the jury is out on that. I think it's going to take some work to convince the entire Black community to endorse a vaccine. There are some of us in the community who can't wait for it because, we think that it will be the answer. And whether or not it's the answer, it remains to be seen. But it definitely, from my perspective at least, needs to be tested properly. Although, we are in a technological age and things are advancing at a rapid pace. I mean,
absolutely.
A few days ago, we were talking about driverless trucks, and I think within the next year or two, you're going to commonly see driverless trucks on freeways. I think that's one of the reasons that they're developing this 5G technology to the extent that they are. But because it has such a short range, they have to put up an extreme number of towers to accommodate pushing that signal out to all the devices that depend on it. And then I'm also hearing that Apple is going to come out with a device that is going to completely eliminate the need for the internet. So you can email somebody directly from your phone to their phone without going online, so to speak. That's what I'm hearing. So I think we as a people in this country do have reason to be suspicious or to be cautious. We have to also take into account that, science is what it is. And can we trust them? I'm not going to say yay or nay. I will leave that up to the listeners.
We absolutely no, we did not trust them. I'm not going to leave it up to hell no. You better not trust people. You better start thinking for yourself. You have got to start learning for yourself. For instance, there's a difference between the internet and the World Wide Web. Did you know that? Do we know that? Do we know what this is? Basic stuff. I'm not asking you to be a rocket science. I'm not even asking you to learn coding. I said that that there's a difference between the internet and the World Wide Web. We should at least know that. Just knowing that would give you some insight as to what the heck is going on right now.
Yes.
I'm not even going to answer that right now either because I want people to do a little research, man. We're dealing with something that you have the ability to have more control than you exert. See, you must exert control. The notion of privacy is gone. There's no such thing as privacy. You can forget about it. It doesn't exist. They started selling and trading that decades ago. They call it data mining.
Yes. Well, we got a lot of fears out there about a chip being implanted and that's going to measure our biorhythms and all that other kind of stuff. But reality.
But they can't make a perfect cough drop though, Vince.
Yeah, but
they can't make an iPhone with no bugs.
Yeah,
how they gonna make a chip? I'm just asking. Okay,
I just wanted to say this. I wanted to say this. We're already walking around with Fitbits that measure our heartbeat, that measure our steps. That I have an Apple Watch. It tells me to breathe. It tells me to stand up. You've been sitting too long. So, technology is already there. So this is just something that we're going to have to adapt to. Brother Steve, it has been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. Our time is running out. I welcome another opportunity to have a conversation with you and the audience that's listening in Cleveland and around the world. You've been listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest, Stephen E. Boyd, also known as Kwa Okunyan. Know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your best day. Peace.